Why would we want to share a dream home?
That's what I'm saying.
No, I know why. Because our dream is so big it can be shared. It's Costco-style home.
Costco-style home. Delicious.
Home
like a Costco pizza.
Not meant to be satisfied alone.
Yeah, share it.
Not meant for one, but it's still possible.
She's doing her taxes.
Yes. Speaking of taxes, I should probably get on
I got
that.
my W-2 today. I can start my taxes.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I can just get it over with. I probably will do that after you leave.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably just do my taxes. Because I'm like, why not? Why wait? You know? Although, actually, I just realized I do potentially have to wait. I think I have to wait for my my student loan bunch to give me the sheet I need with the code, so I can put in the interest I paid. Hey.
Oh, very interested.
Yes. That's low interest.
All right. So, do you think everyone's going to be watching?
Worth having it up just in case.
Worth having it up. You know, that's what I've always assumed, but you know.
It's not hurting anybody.
It hurt us last week.
That's what I'm saying. It hurt us that we didn't have it up.
I know. It's just... Okay, live chat. We're good. We're
chat.
live. Let's...
Alive.
Yep. All right. Let's
It's 2020 and
start
we're
the
alive.
audacity.
We have the audacity to begin this podcast. Hello!
We are running and running.
We're running and barking. Hello! Welcome to the Media Boat Podcast! Today is Wednesday, January the 15th, 2020. This is episode number 210.
210, I believe?
I think this is 210 this week.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. If you are new to the Media Boat Podcast, we are a podcast that brings you news and thoughts about movies, television, video games, and music. Not necessarily in that order. My name is Matt. His name is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt. My feet are barking right now, so let's try and talk over it, and maybe we can cool down my barking feet.
Maybe, something like that.
Yes.
It's January. It's still kind of in the doldrums, but looks like things are about to pick up as we do finally have some big news stories.
We have substantial news stories this week.
And we have some big thoughts this week. So, let's get rolling right into it by starting with the movies section.
And we always start movies with the weekend box office.
Weekend box office.
And we had a little wager last week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we did. I was wrong.
Yeah, you were.
I was wrong.
Totally wrong. How wrong were you?
To the tune of millions and millions of dollars. Because your number one movie this week was 1917, which went wide last weekend.
Getting that Golden Globe bump.
I guess so. $37 million. That's at $39 million domestic so far.
Yes, it had $2 million made over the, 2 weeks it was released?
Yeah, something like that.
In limited theaters.
This is something that will definitely benefit from continued exposure on award shows.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, coming in right behind it, not right behind it, but behind it, Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker with another $15 million. That's at $478 million domestic.
That thing will cross 500?
Maybe.
Probably?
Maybe do it.
Yes?
Maybe. It's got another holiday weekend coming up with Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
It does.
We'll see.
Right, but that domestic total is still a far cry from the $900 million that The Force Awakens did.
Definitely not doing those numbers.
And even the $750 that Last Jedi did.
Yeah.
Or did it do $800 domestic?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong person. Number three, Jumanji 2, The Next Level. $14 million. That's at $257 million domestic. Nothing to sneeze at if you're Sony.
Okay, cross that 250 mark.
They're probably super happy with that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Two hits in a row for that probably makes them maybe a little bit more comfortable about that upcoming Ghostbusters reboot.
Maybe. Don't be surprised if you see Sony try and sign Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson production company, $7 production, to some sort of exclusivity deal.
Because it's been so much of a moneymaker for them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised. Number four, Like a Boss, premiered to only $10 million.
I told you that was going to bomb.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I'm not. It's a comedy in January.
Yeah, you're a comedy in January.
I'm a comedy of all seasons.
a comic for all seasons.
Yes.
Number 5, Just Mercy.
Michael B.
Just
okay.
$9.7 million.
Poor Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. And then, in case you're wondering about Underwater, because I'm always wondering about Underwater, but your other premiere movie last week, Underwater.
The Kristen Stewart film where she is on the surface and everything's fine. But underwater, it's all chaotic.
That was weighing number 7 with only $7 million. So, there you go.
Yep.
Upcoming, we actually have a couple of new releases this weekend.
All right, what is the substantial new release this week?
Bad Boys for Life.
That is
the third Bad Boys film.
Yeah, but
finally,
this means that when they do a sequel, they can't call it Bad Boys for Life. No. They could just call this one Bad Boys 3.
They could have, but no, they chose this title.
Bad Boys Try.
Bad Boys for Life. So yeah, the third Bad Boys movie. So if you like those Bad Boys movies, this is another one.
Bad Boys Triple Burnout.
And then if you want some counter-programming for all that action movie violence, you can take the kids to Doolittle, the most recent remake of Dr. Doolittle, this time starring Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, take your kids to see Iron Man talk to animals.
Hey, yeah, sounds like a good Saturday to me.
Yes, what was it? Projections, I saw that this thing is destined to fail.
Oh, yeah, no, this is a bomb. Like, there's no way.
There's no way it's going to make up its money back?
No way. So, you think of Bad Boys next week? You think it can be $37 million? I think it can be $37 million.
Well, it's half of 37, so it's like 7.
Yeah, I think it'll be do fine.
It's got to go over 20 then.
Yeah, I think you can manage.
I don't know. Maybe.
It's been a while, I think, since we've had an action movie like that.
Right, but does anybody actually care?
We'll find out.
I'm going to say no. I want to take 1917 on the holdover here.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, weird. Okay.
All right, you want to take Bad Boys for Life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new movie.
All right. You know what? That's what we should do. We should keep a score tally this season.
Yeah, we're already lost on that one. All right. That's it for new releases. Do you want to go to news or do you want to talk about thoughts real quick?
Let's run through news real quick.
Save the thoughts for after the news. I like your thinking.
Yes.
Because the big news story, of course, this week was one of the biggest movie news stories that we have every January, which is the announcement of the nominees for the Academy Awards.
So, out of the 250 films that came out last year, 9 of them are now eligible for Best Picture.
We're so close to using the whole 10.
I know.
We're so close this year. Almost.
There are several films that could have easily filled that 10 slot.
So before I read the 9 nominations, what is the one they missed, in your opinion? What is the one that should be number 10 here?
Endgame.
Endgame? That's what everybody is saying, but I don't agree.
I know, but, it's not that it's for the film, but it's for, like, the culmination of what it stands, what it means for. It's Academy recognizing Marvel, or just rather superhero films in general.
Okay.
The other one I think got snubbed was Uncut Gems, from what I've been hearing.
That's my feeling, is that may have been where Uncut Gems would have been, but no.
Other one would be Us. Got 0 nominations.
Yeah, I think that maybe the result of being so early in the year? I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, here are the 9 films that are nominated for Best Picture at this year's Oscars.
All right,
first up, Gold Globe winner 1917.
Currently the favorite, I would put.
Sure, unfortunately. Ford versus Ferrari.
Unfortunately, you haven't even seen it.
Yeah, it's another war movie.
Yeah, it's right up the Oscar voting alley.
No, that's why it's boring. Ford versus Ferrari, winning the Dad Oscar.
Winning the Dad Award.
Netflix's The Irishman.
Yes, winning the Martin Scorsese Award.
Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit.
Winning the Comedy Award?
I guess. Joker. Which the internet, I'm sure, is very divided on it showing up here.
Yeah, I had my thoughts on that.
Yes,
thing.
yes,
we can
certainly do.
Go back.
I'm not going to reiterate it now.
No, go back and listen to it.
Joker is here. Little Women, which I will talk about momentarily. I did see that this past weekend. Finally, Netflix's Marriage Story.
Yes, that is Kylo Ren and Black Widow, not Scarlet Witch. It's Kylo Ren and Black Widow discussing baby talk.
Sure, yes. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because
the Quentin Tarantino Award.
And the surprise of the 9, international film Parasite.
Which kind of goes alongside Roma, which won the international award last year, and also...
Back when it was still known as foreign film.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they're going to do now is...
Have at least one.
But then again, that kind of diminishes the foreign film because it's nominated for Best Picture. Wouldn't it just automatically win?
It does and it doesn't, though, because honestly, I think that even if it doesn't have a chance to win here, I think it's cool for them to nominate it. But also, there's been no film on this list that I've heard more buzz on people I follow on Twitter, my Twitter circles, than Parasite.
Right.
Like, I've heard a lot of positive things about it. It doesn't seem like something I want to watch particularly, but it sounds like it's very good. So there you go. So those are your 9 Best Picture nominees there. Joker leads all films with 11 total nominations for this year.
And will win 1.
Yep.
Maybe 2.
Because it's nominated for Best Actor, of course, for Joaquin Phoenix.
That's where it will win the 1 award.
And Best Director, where he will not
No, he will not win.
Tarantino got 10 nominations for his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, including Best Original Screenplay and Best Director.
Might win for Screenplay?
We'll see. The Irishman in 1917 got 10 noms each, including Best Director and Cinematography. 1917 probably has the leg up on cinematography, if I had to guess.
Yes, I think so, based on what I've heard about the film.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson is double nominated this year in both of the acting categories, so supporting and lead.
Which she will win neither.
Neither, no. Knives Out got its original screenplay nom, which I called.
Yes, of course it won't win, but...
I don't know about that. I think it has a chance. So
I think it has a chance too, but you know.
Still staying by that. Just watch. Toy
Story 4. Quentin Tarantino always wins it for no reason.
Toy Story 4, the only Disney film in the animated feature category, notable because that means that Frozen 2 is absent from the list. The sequel to a Oscar-winning best animated feature.
But that's not to say Frozen 2 didn't get nominated at all.
It's later. Yeah,
it got nominated for Best Original
Song for Into the Unknown.
And I think that's just so they can get Idina Menzel out there to come out and perform.
Yeah. Netflix led the studios with 24 total nominations. Disney/Fox, because they're one giant monster, came in second with 22 nominations. And the rest trailed.
I mean, you have to include Fox in the /Fox Disney, because the bulk of that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, for sure. So, we'll, of course, do more serious predictions down the line. The telecast is February 9th. Mm-hmm. This is a day after a wedding for us, so we're going to be exhausted, but we'll be fine.
You might be exhausted.
You'll be more tired than I will.
I might.
You're in the wedding.
Yeah, I know. What's your point?
But yeah, I
have some vengeance to uphold. I have a reputation to uphold. I might get beat out for that reputation. I'll talk about that later.
Okay, I'll hear all about it.
I know you will.
The show before that, we will go into our in-depth nominations. But real quick, what do you think about these nominations? Are you generally happy with it? Any surprises? Any snubs that you're shocked besides the aforementioned ones?
Snub from Greta Gerwig not being nominated for Best Director.
That makes me mad because...
surprise for Saoirse Ronan? Saoirse Ronan?
I'm not surprised at all.
Third nomination.
Watching that thing?
In 5 years, I want to say?
Yeah. Watching that thing, though, totally earned. I think she has a chance.
Okay.
I think this might be another win for her.
Okay. Interesting.
But, anyway.
Other I mean, the lack of The Lion King being an animated film is just a total snub in its own right.
Yeah, but we talked that to death.
I know, we talked about that.
We knew that was happening.
I know. We knew that was happening because Disney didn't submit it as that nomination.
Yeah.
I think Disney's only having one film.
Does this just
is surprising?
Does this mean that they're just going to hand it to Missing Link?
Maybe.
I feel like the table is being set for that.
Yeah.
But I guess Toy Story does have a chance.
Internet said Claws was good.
Yeah, I heard some things.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it. But then again, Laika and that stop motion animation is always
have a habit of taking Disney's thunder.
Yes,
in this category. So
they definitely do. But other than that, John Williams with another nomination.
Yeah, kind of like
I think that is 7 decades in a row.
I think that's like a crowning achievement kind of Oscar. I think that they may give it to him just for the saga.
Right, but then again, that also means Alan Silvestri did not get it.
Yeah.
Did not get a nomination. I think that is a snub because that Avengers theme is kind of iconic now.
Or we could be looking at a score upset since the woman who did the score for Joker won the Golden Globe.
Right.
So we're basically into Oscar season with her being the favorite here.
I mean, her being the award favorite, but not the big name favorite.
So, we'll see. I think that it's an interesting. A lot of these awards are kind of like that. A lot of these nominations are kind of like that, where it's like it seems like it's a field with like that could genuinely lead to some surprises. Mm-hmm. Like there's some like real close battles here that I don't know if we can necessarily call it as easily as we could some years.
I don't think so.
Like
but
the Best Picture race, I think, is tight.
I think we will see a split between Best Picture and Best Director.
I agree. Because I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine those two lining up. I agree.
And the only way it would line up is if somehow 1917 just builds up so much steam that is the obvious favorite.
I don't.
I can't see that coming either.
I can't see Academy Award winner Sam Mendes. I just can't.
Sir Sam Mendes.
Sorry, Sir Sam Mendes. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Okay.
Okay, well, we don't need to dwell on it too
long.
No,
we have more.
We will have more specific predictions as we get closer to the show.
Right, but because the Academy Awards nominations were literally the biggest news out there, a lot of other stuff just kind of trickled in and out.
And that's why we bring to you some movie bits.
The bits.
Here's some rapid-fire bits for you. First up, speaking of Netflix's 2020 Best Picture nominations... Mm-hmm. The theater chains AMC, Regal, and Cinemark have chosen not to screen them in their theaters.
So that is 2 films they are leaving out.
So yes, so during AMC's traditional Best Picture marathon, you will not see Marriage Story or The Irishman.
And that right there cuts out 8 hours of runtime.
Yeah, so save some time, watch them at home. That's what I say. Next up, Bond. Speaking of Sam Mendes,
yes.
Bond movies, of course, traditionally have a theme song sung by a contemporary female artist.
Except
not always female, I guess.
I'll say we had
generally female.
What was it? Not Charlie Puth? No.
Charlie Puth did do one. Yes,
yeah, he did do one. The other guy did one too.
Historically, you also have like Paul McCartney in Wings.
Paul McCartney, yes. No,
there are examples. Yeah. Sam Smith, I think.
Sam Smith's who I'm thinking of. Yes, I'm trying to think of Sam Smith.
Not Charlie Puth. You're right. Sam Smith.
I think Charlie Puth did do one.
Maybe I don't know. But this year, none other than Zoomer favorite Billie Eilish will be doing the "No Time to Die" theme song. So look forward to that. Will it be produced by her brother Phineas? Probably.
Yeah, Billie Eilish and her mumbling sounds of James Bond.
I guess you could call it that.
I don't know. They had fun rewriting Bad Guy to be a Bond guy. Yes.
Oh, that's real creative.
So I'm your Bond guy. Shoot you with my gun guy.
Also in the mix this week.
Kill guy.
Let's move on from that. Disney just loves giving up on directors, don't they? Because we have another one that bit the dust this week. Scott Derrickson is out of Doctor Strange 2 due to, quote, creative differences, unquote.
Not that Scott Derrickson. But the director, Scott
Derrickson. Who is the other Scott Derrickson? Some sort of athlete?
No. Isn't he the Kardashian guy?
What? I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea.
Maybe it's not Scott, but that was Derrickson. But yeah, the guy who directed Doctor Strange 1.
Yes, not directing Doctor Strange 2.
Not back to direct Doctor Strange 2. Production is set to begin in May for a 2022 release, I believe.
Something like that,
21? 21 release. It's like the end of 21. It's like the summer release. But yeah. They need a new director within the next 4 months.
I think they can figure something out.
I'm sure they'll be able to find someone. Name that director.
You do it. I don't know.
Get the Parasite guy, Boon Young-ho.
Yeah, why not, right?
Why not?
Go. If we're making something up here, let's just throw a Hail Mary here.
I mean, hey, why not? I mean, the producer, Kevin Feige and the team of producers basically make that film anyways. Being a director of a Marvel film is just a glorified position.
It isn't. I feel like you do have enough room for a personal stamp.
Yeah.
I think the Russo brothers movies are different from the other movies. For example...
Yeah,
I think that there's enough room for a directorial.
You're right.
It's just that the Russo style took over so much of the franchise.
Well, at first it was the
Joss Whedon style, and they kind of got usurped when people realized, these guys are better.
Yeah, well, they're better storytellers.
Yeah, they could manage an ensemble film better.
Mm-hmm. But the James Gunn is a better stylistic choice.
Yeah, and of course, James Gunn, and of course he's better at comedy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, they all do have their unique takes. I think. But anyways, our last bit, though, Sony released a trailer for Morbius.
This is part of their Spider-Man villain film.
Yeah.
Conundrum universe that they're
that
building
they started
up.
with Venom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently part of this deal is that they're going to use Michael Keaton as the Vulture in this film.
So
which may just be a cameo at the very end, but is put in the trailer to entice people to go see it.
Got it.
I bet that's what they're going to do, kind of like how in Tokyo Drift they kind of hyped up that Vin Diesel was in it, but he was really just in the final shots. It was like,
I mean, we'll see, unless they have a bigger idea for him.
I mean, like I said, this is part of Sony trying to set up their own Sinister Six film.
Right.
Where all the villains have been wronged by Spider-Man, and so they try and take down Spider-Man or, reveal who Spider-Man is and stuff.
We'll see. All right, cool. Well, we'll see about that. That's it for the movie bits.
I think that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it for movies, which means we get to talk about some thoughts.
All right. So we have one film that is relevant this year, and
we have a bunch of old movies.
What, you want to talk first?
Yeah, I'll talk about Little Women.
All right.
It won't take very long.
Okay, so Little Women, adaptation of the book, fourth time being adapted?
Yes. It's a story that has been adapted in a lot of media and a lot of times in kind of different ways. This, of course, is Greta Gerwig directing and writing. After kind of her Oscar, her brush with Oscar with Lady Bird.
Yes.
This is her trying at that Oscar again. And as we just mentioned, she is nominated for Best Picture, but not for Director for it. And she's up for Adapted Screenplay, which I believe she has a chance to win here. Because this is an excellent adaptation of the story.
Okay.
So it's really, really well shot, well acted. Everybody in the ensemble cast is really great. Like, I have never been on the Emma Watson train. Mm-hmm. I've always thought she was kind of overrated, and like I don't really understand why all these guys are like, Emma Watson's so cute. I never really got it.
Okay.
But she is wonderful in this movie.
Wonderful as an actor?
Great. Yes.
Yes.
She is great in this movie. Saoirse Ronan, excellent performance. I think she has a chance at the Oscar this year.
So she will be pretty much going up head-to-head.
Yes.
Essentially with Renee Zellweger for Judy, in which
I think
she carried that film.
I think that's the race, because the rest of them can't win. I think that's the race, is the two of them.
Okay.
So it'll be really interesting to see how close that is. I think Renee maybe has a leg up.
I think we'll have to wait till
the biopic thing, which is like, the biopic always wins.
Right. I think we'll have to wait for the SAG Awards to come out.
But Saoirse definitely has quite a performance here. And the film is so much focused on her character above all that she does have a lot of time and room to really, really act her pants off. Mm-hmm. Really, really well done. Greta's screenplay is like, it's a good adaptation because it feels modern without actually being a modern take.
Okay.
Like, it's very much still set in the time period of the original book. But the way that people are having conversations feels more modern just because of the way that they're trained to deliver the dialogue.
They feel like real people?
Yeah. Yes, even though the things that they're saying are maybe sound a little older, like the actual way it's portrayed is it has a modern twist to it.
Okay.
And it makes for a really watchable movie. Some of the directing choices are really excellent. Sucks that she's not nominated. They do play around with the narrative. It's not a linear structure. There's kind of a back and forth flashback kind of play that they do throughout the movie, which makes it kind of an interesting watch. You're never necessarily sure. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm here in this part of the timeline, back and forth. So for somebody like me who is not that familiar with the original story, there were moments where I was like, oh, where? Okay, now I'm here. I thought we were here. Whereas if somebody is really familiar with the source material, that it would be fun for them to be like, oh, this is that part.
Okay.
As it kind of jumps between the two timelines.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really, really fun movie. Like I said, some excellent performances. And it's fun for the whole family. I mean, besides some kind of dramatic moments, as you might imagine, it's pretty kid friendly. You can take some kids to this. There were some kids in our theater, and they were having a fine time. Maybe a little long for the youngest of the young, but yeah. Other than that, I thought it was a really excellent film, and it's the only film nominated for Best Picture I've seen. So by default, I have to say it's my pick. That's how that works, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I may force myself to watch the Netflix ones.
I mean, as soon as I watch the two Netflix ones, I'm only down 2 films, and Logan being one of them.
I'll be down to 3. I'll be down 3 at that point. I'll be happy with that. But we'll see.
I'll be down to 3 left. That's what.
But I think it's really, really good. I recommend it.
Okay.
So that Media Boat scale, I say go see it.
You say go see it?
I say go see it. It's a good movie.
Probably see it because it is an Oscar film.
Yeah, you and Kristen should go see it.
Oh, okay. It's a date night film?
It's a good date night movie. It's romantic without being explicitly romantic. It's there's enough of a romance subplot going on.
Okay.
It's a fun time.
Okay. Now I already have plans to see 1917 with Ty because he wants to see it.
There you go.
So I may see it with Doctor at some point.
You should. But you saw a bunch of movies on a plane.
Yeah, so I was on a
plain-ass plane.
So movies. I was on a plane, and instead of getting drunk on a plane, I decided to watch some movies and get movie drunk on a plane.
Except the pilot.
Except the pilot, he's John Party.
It's the best part of that song.
It definitely is.
Except the pilot.
Anyways, the first film I saw on a plane. Yes. Was also a film I completely forgot that I saw on a plane, which is a bad sign.
That's a really
when
bad
you
sign.
have to stroll to remember what film it was.
Yes.
And that was Zombieland Double Tap.
So this came out this year.
Yeah.
And no one cared.
And I watched it on a plane.
And you already forgot.
I already forgot that I watched it. It was not a good film. And I liked Zombieland, the first film, because it had a lot of undertones of finding a family, sticking together, and
it had a heart to it.
It had a heart. It had something that a little bit for everyone, and it was that whole theme of teamwork. You need to work together. You need to find yourself amongst people in a world where there's not that many people.
And this is not that.
This is. I don't know what it was going for. It seemed like they tried to do something where they wanted to play on each other's characteristics and how annoying they are, by introducing other people to show just how annoying they are. And yet it rubbed everything the wrong way, even up to the end.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was no redeeming qualities on this film. It just seemed like one bad decision after another in a world of a zombie apocalypse where you can go anywhere and pretty much do anything. it kind of set itself on a one-path train and didn't derail from it, and I kind of wanted to see the total derailment.
You wanted to see it have more fun?
Yeah.
Maybe, because, like, that's one of the things about that first movie. It's like, it had heart, but also it was, like, kind of chaotic in a way that was exciting at the time.
This is not chaotic.
No.
This is very much a by the numbers, here's what we want to get across. Nothing special, nothing interesting happens. It's just an overall bland film. And I'm glad I didn't spend money on it.
And I think that seemed like that was the opinion at the time, too. Everyone was like, this exists, but no one cares.
Yep.
Yeah. What else did you watch on a plane? What other plane-ass movies did you see?
So I saw the plane film of a book adaptation.
Okay.
That, when it came out, I had heard positive things about.
All right.
But it didn't get any award nominations. It kind of just, like, came and went. And that is The Goldfinch.
Right, yes.
And I can see why it came and went, because this is an example of bad storytelling that works in book format, but not in screen format. Because in the book, you can have people talk and have conversations that elongate and get to know these characters, whereas in a film, you're set in the middle of Las Vegas, but not in, like, good Las Vegas, rather
suburbial Las Vegas.
Like, all these houses are built up Las Vegas, and I'm just sitting there watching the film thinking, why are they here? Why is this important to the film?
Why do I care?
Why am I caring? And I get it, because eventually it's like, oh, he came out here because he met this friend who eventually got into a bunch of trouble. But then I'm thinking, okay, but this is an adaptation. Does it have to be in
Vegas?
In Vegas, like,
no.
I get it, but couldn't you have sent it, like, in just, like, the middle of nowhere instead of going from the vibrant city of New York to the desert of Las Vegas? I get it, but at the same time, it just, you could take some liberties, couldn't you? It's an example of I want more, like, I want more from the director or more from the screenwriter to punch up the story. Take the basis of the book and then punch it up. Make it more interesting, more exciting. Mm-hmm. Also, the very end of the film is a tell, not show, which is the whole point of the book.
Mm.
And yet I wanted a show, not tell, because that's what makes it better. It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's a better medium. But because the book, I assume, did a tell, not show, it made me wanting something out of this film.
Yeah.
And it's not a I'm wanting more out of this film, more of a I'm wanting you to do better with what you were given. But definitely a plain-ass plane movie.
Yeah, it just seems like something to pass the time.
It's like,
a couple hours.
It's like, oh, I read this book. This was a New York Times bestseller. Let me check out the film, because I have nowhere else to go for the next 3 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it is a long 2.5 hour film.
And yet, I don't think that's the plainiest movie you saw.
Probably not.
Okay, let's talk about the most plane movie on this list. Just looking at the name of this thing, I was like, yeah, that sounds like something you watch on a plane.
I watch it. Oh, yes. So, when I saw the trailers for this film, I thought, oh, I want to see it. It's a dog movie.
It's a dog
I
movie.
love it. I'm going to go see this.
Yeah.
And then it came and went. I'm talking about The Art of Racing in the Rain.
It's a dog movie that does not have a dog anywhere in the title.
No, but it is Kevin Costner as the voice of a dog who dreams about racing. Because his owner, Milo Ventimiglia, is a
racer?
I don't want to say wannabe racer, but he is a wannabe racer because he like dreams of being a race car driver. Like all he does in his spare time is watch races on TV, and even works as a coach for up and coming racers in Seattle, which is why it's called The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Got it.
I think it might also be a book, but because it's set in Seattle, where it rains all the time. It is the art of racing in the rain. And how basically, it's just summed up into like the motto of the film, which is you need to drive when you're a driver and it's raining. You have to control your own destiny and don't let other things like the rain affect you and what you wanted to accomplish. And that's how you win the race, is that you control it. You don't let it control you. Yeah. And that's kind of what this film ends up being about. How life can totally rain down on you and you don't expect it, but you still have to basically fight for what you believe in and control your own destiny.
Sure, yeah.
But there's also a dog involved somehow.
There's also a dog involved.
Yeah, and that was the confusing thing, is that this film could be told without the dog and would still have been a fine film. But you throw the dog in there and you talk about it from the dog's perspective, and it just seems all over the place. It's like
they want the dog to be the hook, but doesn't need to be.
Doesn't need to be the hook.
Yeah.
You could have made it a cat. You could have made it a duck.
Or you could just have the dude tell his own story.
You could have.
Like, yeah, you don't need the dog.
Because that was an interesting story, but, the dog thrown into it was, like... Because even, like, the girl he meets is not a fan of the dog, and I'm like, yeah, the dog doesn't need to be there, does it? Uh-huh. No, it doesn't.
Goes to show you.
Yeah, but, I don't know, like, take the dog out. It's still an interesting story, and I liked it, but it's just one of those films where, like, is the dog necessary? And you're right, it is a plain film.
Yeah. I love that. One of the films where is the dog necessary? It's a recurring problem. I don't know why people keep putting these dogs in these things.
Oh, it definitely is.
Anyway, alright, that's the movies we saw.
Yeah.
Moving on. We need to move on.
Yeah, we need to move on.
It's time to talk about television, and man, what a week in sports. We're going to talk about sports a lot this week.
This is a big sports, week. So much so, we're going to dedicate a whole story to one story.
But before we get to that, let's run down these bits of sports news. First up, LSU has won the national championship in college football.
Yes, I unfortunately picked that wrong. I thought Joe Burrow's being the...
I don't think you were the only one.
Heisman Trophy winners.
I've heard this referred to as an upset.
Yeah, I don't know. They were the top seed.
But
so it's not really that much of an upset. I think you might be reading that wrong because people were upset with Joe Burrows.
Maybe.
Because Clemson went up 17-0. Uh-huh. And then Joe Burrows decided to play like a Heisman Trophy winner and win.
Finally, yeah.
But apparently OBJ, yes, the receiver OBJ,
sure,
not the rapper, was out in New Orleans as well, and just handing out stacks of cash to these players. And Joe Burrows went on a podcast or radio show, was like, yeah, he gave us money. We got paid.
Wow.
It was great.
That's great.
Yeah, except,
you can't.
He's still an NCAA player and can't legally accept money.
That's true.
You forgot about that because you forgot about that. Because that is technically like accepting a gift.
Yeah.
And because the gift was like you cannot accept gifts as a student athlete. Not yet. And we'll see if NCAA decides to come down on it because even though he may be graduating, a lot of his other teammates are still in school. So we'll see if the NCAA decides to do anything about that. We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see. Moving on from college football to the pro leagues. Titans and Chiefs will be your AFC championship game.
Yes, the Titans defeated Lamar Jackson. But I don't want to say defeated Lamar Jackson. They defeated the Ravens. Not necessarily Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson had 350 passing yards, 150 rushing yards, 500 total all-purpose yards.
Oof.
And they still lost.
Yikes.
It's like Mark Sanchez out there playing. Just throwing the ball, running the ball, beating the whole offense, and yet still losing the game. I feel for him. I know what that is like.
You know. You've been there.
I've been there 16 games. 16 games. Out of 16 games.
Then the NFC Championship will be Packers and Niners. So,
yes.
This leaves, of course, the question, what's your call for the Super Bowl? Who do you think makes it?
I'm thinking the Packers are going to beat the Niners.
Okay.
And I want to go with the upset of the Tennessee Titans beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Mainly because the Miami Dolphins are paying $18 million for Ryan Tannehill this year.
Right.
As part of a previous deal where the Titans are only paying him $1.2 million to play for them. So I think it'd be hilarious if the Dolphins paid for a winning Super Bowl quarterback on a different team. But no, I think the Packers, I think Titans will win. I think Packers will win. Titans have the hot hand. But I think it is symbiotic poetic justice that it being the 100th season of the NFL, that the trophy is named after Vince Lombardi of the Packers, that it should rightfully, I don't know if I want to call transfuckery on this thing yet, but I think the Packers should and will win the Super Bowl and have the Vince Lombardi trophy go back home for the 100th season of the NFL.
It would be like a weird, mystical kind of feeling to it.
Sure.
Where it's like
transfuckery.
Sure, you could call it that. But yeah, like some weird, like
I said, poetic justice. It just sounds nice. Like the 100th year goes to Vince Lombardi's team. Not necessarily Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, but just the overall stamp it would send, the message.
Well,
the overall tones of it.
We'll see, because as you mentioned, Sunday will be your championship Sunday. So stay tuned to see who wins those games. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, in the NFL, the Hall of Fame happened, and we have some brand new inductees.
Yes, this was announced this morning on Good Morning Football.
So Good Morning Football. Who's having a great morning today? Bill Cowher, Jimmy Johnson, Jim Covert. Covert?
Covert. Yeah.
Winston Hill, Harold Carmichael, Duke Slater, Ed Sprinkle. Good name. Alez Karras, Bobby Dillon, Donnie Shell, George Young, Cliff Harris, Max Speedy, Paul Tagliabue. Get that right?
Yep.
And Steve Sable.
Those
are your inductees. 15 inductees will be joined by 5 modern-day selections announced the day before the Super Bowl during the NFL Honors on February 1st.
Yes. Bill Cowher, famous coach for the Steelers. Jimmy Johnson, famous coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Yep. And Carmichael, the leading receptions and receiving yards and touchdowns for a receiver for the Eagles.
Oh, there you go.
And lastly, big shout out here to, I'm glad they have him as a inductee, Steve Sable.
Okay.
He is the founder of NFL Films.
Ah!
If that name sounded familiar.
Yes.
Because we have talked about that a while. Yes, I'm glad the NFL is recognizing him on the 100th season. Not a player, not a coach, but an integral part of the NFL and what made the NFL basically accessible and fun and just to everyone. It's so happy to see him get this nomination.
Sorry. Anyway, whenever somebody says anything about the NFL Films, the NFL Films music comes in my head. Anyway.
Anyways, those 15 will be joined by 5 special ones.
No, those are all free.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway.
Because that's what you do. You just use free music.
It's free.
But 5 special inductees. Yeah. Normally they cap it at 15 or 10 to 15 per season, but because it is the 100th year, they're going to do 5 special ones, modern day inductees.
And then lastly in the NFL, before we move to other sports, Luke Kuechly and Antonio Gates both announced their retirement.
Yes. Antonio Gates announced his retirement for the third time, I want to say. I want to say it's his third time retiring, but I only say that because several times he has not officially announced his retirement, but also not necessarily shown up for Chargers preseason.
Okay.
And then only showed up for the last week of the preseason before the game starts. Like, yeah, I actually do want to play.
It's like, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, he's been on a running contract of just, hey, if you want to do it, there's a spot here. Because he's just so entrenched in Charger culture.
Right.
He's basically their tight end forever.
Not anymore.
No. And then Luke Kuechly decided to take a page out of Andrew Luck's playbook and retire.
Guess so.
After the season, though.
Yeah.
They both came in the same year, 2012. Luke Kuechly had basically the captain of the Panther defense, had over 1,000 tackles in his 8 years. Of his 8 years, he was 7 times nominated to the Pro Bowl.
Wow. Not bad.
I expect him to be most likely a Hall of Famer at some point. Maybe not immediately, but I think at some point he's such a big part of that Panthers defense. Took him to a Super Bowl against Peyton Manning. But, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of bad things you can say about him. He was just a great player and a great captain and just a terror on the field. He did suffer several concussions, as you do playing that game, over the course of his year, and sat out 7 of the last 8 games due to it, and I think that's kind of what pushed him to...
was the thing. I mean, obviously, go take some rest, get some, evaluations, make sure you're all good up there, because we don't want to lose another one.
No.
So, yes, stay healthy.
Don't be surprised if you see him in a booth somewhere, because he is a smart player.
That'd be great.
Yep.
All right. Other sports happened.
Yes. Like I said, big sports week here.
If you're a fight fan, you, of course, already know that the McGregor versus Cowboy UFC fight is on Saturday.
Yes, it is. I already have purchased it.
But if you're a normal person and you actually are thinking about these things, you don't care. Because screw that guy.
Which one? Both of them?
I mean, probably both of them. I don't know anything about this Cowboy fellow, but I know a lot of too much you could argue about this McGregor fellow, and I don't like him one bit.
No. McGregor has not had a fight in the octagon in 3 years,
right.
But
he has boxing stuff for a while.
That being said, he has had a fight since then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Several.
Let's not go into
Several of them.
Let's not go into it. Just trust us on that they suck. That this guy sucks. Okay, let's move on. We have Girl Scout cookie. Sorry, I got very distracted there.
Yeah, you
I
did.
want some Girl Scout cookies.
Coming soon, March.
God, I want some right now.
March is Girl Scout time.
What's up? Anyway, basketball. The WNBA basketball specifically. The maximum base salary for WNBA players.
So, real briefly, a new CBA contract was signed and is being implemented in this upcoming season. And a lot of that includes these upcoming benefits.
So, the maximum base salary for WNBA players will rise up to $215,000, up from $117,500 last season. The new WNBA deal also includes benefits such as premium economy class status for all players for regular season air travel and individual hotel room accommodations, along with more support for child care, including full salary during maternity leave and an annual child care stipend of $5,000.
Makes you wonder what the deal was before, because that seems a lot of necessary stuff.
Base things.
Yeah.
Which, of course. I mean, we don't need to tell you that I'm sure that the WNBA does not have nearly as much accoutrement as its NBA counterpart.
Yes.
But hey, any increase to these numbers and any kind of moving closer to what the men's league has and gets probably all the time for every team, is good news. So I'm glad that we're moving towards that goal. But man, how did it take this long? Why are we still having this conversation? It's frustrating.
Because, as our favorite saying on here,
yes,
it's a business.
Yeah, but I know. But so is the NBA.
Yeah,
it's just there's no excuse. They have no excuse. Anyway,
in addition to all of that,
yes.
the WNBA is working with companies to help promote the image of the WNBA. Most specifically with companies like Nike and AT&T.
And I think it's already working. I've noticed a lot more WNBA stuff around than ever before.
Well, the past 2 years, I believe, the NBA 2K games have included the WNBA has teams to play.
Yes, which is very smart. Very, very smart. Because that game gets into a lot of people's hands.
Yes, it does.
So, that's it for the sports bits, I guess you could call it, because we've had so many that it qualifies for a bits section this year.
Yeah, I guess.
This episode. But we're not done with sports, as we have a follow-up for you.
So, this upcoming story is literally the biggest story in sports right now.
Yeah.
And so big, I'm going to call it right now as
maybe
a nominee, at least a nominee, may not win, but at least a nominee for TV News of the Year.
So last week, we talked about a scandal happening in baseball, but we talked about a different team. We talked about the Boston Red Sox.
We talked about the Boston Red Sox because that was the one that had recently come out.
Yes.
Because the main story of the Houston Astros kind of started to get the ball rolling at the end of December of last year.
But we're back talking about the Astros because this thing blew up this week.
Yes, we had an official ruling, and oh boy, was it a ruling.
So, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred has announced suspensions and fines regarding the cheating scandal from the Astros specifically in 2017. The Astros, Jeff Luhnow and manager A.J. Hinch have both been suspended for 1 year after the investigation found the team used technology to cheat during its World Series winning 2017 season. Additionally, the MLB will fine the Astros $5 million and take away their first and second round picks in 2020 and 2021 drafts. It's pretty severe. No players were disciplined specifically by the MLB in the investigation, while Carlos Beltran was part of it when he was a player, but he's now the manager of the Mets. So
no word if he's gonna be taken down yet.
At least.
But as for everyone else,
the scheme, by the way, was described as player-driven, with the exception of the Astros bench coach Alex Cora. Astros owner Jim Crane didn't take too long to fire Jeff Luhnow and A.J. Hinch, and soon after that, the Red Sox announced Alex Cora out as their manager. So, it's interesting that the one kind of big takeaway here is that, the players who are ostensibly responsible are not affected.
Well, that is also because of the players' union who will protect them.
Right.
Not only that, but a lot of the players basically took it upon themselves to swear to secrecy, if you want to say. Because at some point, because the rumors were getting around, they had questions with other people. Like, did you do this? Were you part of it? Did you know? And most of them flat out told their friends that no.
Right.
They had no idea and no, this wasn't going on.
They probably agreed in the locker rooms, like, we tell no one, right?
Right.
Right. They all agreed.
Yep.
And they ain't saying nothing. They're Johnny Tight-Lips in there.
Which is funny because they didn't need to say anything. They just needed to watch the tape.
Right.
And the tape said that there was loud bangings, trash cans hitting, loud noises from the dugout.
Like a good lawyer will always say, don't say anything because it will be used against you later.
As the cops say, what canon will be used against you in a court of law.
It's true. And they know that better than anybody. So it's probably smart to stay quiet.
Right. And like I said, even though this was player-driven, the players' union is basically what's going to protect them from any substantial
right
suspensions. I want to say
so
any fines.
So do you think the league is being severe enough here, or do you think that there could be more?
Ooh, let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
When there was a cheating scandal in 1919 about the Chicago White Sox...
Nearly 100 years ago, but okay.
Nearly 100 years ago. About the Chicago White Sox basically throwing games and getting paid for in the World Series to throw games. 8 men were kicked out of baseball because of it.
Right. Yeah.
And and in this ruling, they were suspended and $5 million fine, which $5 million is basically nothing when you have that World Series money.
Yeah.
The title should have been stripped away.
That's what a lot of people are kind of saying, is that like the thing that should have happened here that didn't is that they should not have won the World Series.
Right.
Like
on top of that, one, you can't just award it to the next team.
No.
That's not how that works.
Not how it works.
It
would just be like revoked. It would be like an asterisk in all the record books. It'd be like, yes, in 2017 they technically won, but...
Right, well that's why a lot of people are calling them like Houston Asterisks now.
That's good.
Yeah. But like even in the record books, 1994, I want to say, when they had the strike, it just skips, goes from 93 to 95. Yeah. It's just no World Series person.
And I do want to note, for longtime viewers of the Media Boat podcast, I just want to state that the MLB baseball player known as Matthew Johnson, who played for the Houston Astros during the 2017 season, did not know anything about this. Did not participate in this.
That's why I have the picture of the show 17 up.
Yep, and was not a member of the team when they were in the World Series.
So, did you even make it to the World Series?
No. So I'm not culpable for this.
That wasn't you banging on the X button trying to get pitches?
Wasn't me. Wasn't me at all.
Yes, Shaggy.
We needed to establish that before we moved on. Anyway.
Anyways, a lot of this is the punishment from the MLB officers is directed at the management.
Yeah.
But a lot of it should be directed at the players. I wanted to see players get kicked out. Basically, if Pete Rose got suspended for betting on baseball...
Yes, how are these players to play?
Right.
Yeah.
Which, when Pete Rose got kicked out, he wasn't betting on his own team. He never bet on his own team. He bet on other teams. Mm-hmm. But they said that was enough for him to be blacklisted from MLB baseball. Even though he technically has the most hits from a player, he will never be in the Hall of Fame.
Never do it, yeah.
It's that bad. And for these players to have won the World Series, and it kind of sends a message that if you want to cheat to win a World Series, all you have to do is pay $5 million for a fine and maybe sacrifice a coach or two.
Yeah. All I can say is that this makes the upcoming baseball season even crazier.
Yes, expect the Astros to get booed everywhere they go.
This will be a rough season for the Astros, I'm sure.
Yes. Also, because it happened in 2017, it has ramifications for the past 2 years of, the Dodgers didn't win the World Series. Well, now we have to make management changes. Right. We didn't win the World Series. Guess we have to make pitching changes. Guess what? You're no longer on the team. Guess what? You didn't win us a World Series. We're going to have to ship you off to somewhere else. Guess what? You no longer get that bonuses. Yeah. It's a lot of other stuff that affects a lot of players in the league.
It really did. It affected a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
So that's why I want it to be more severe.
Yeah, because I think I also heard on the radio this afternoon that apparently there is a grassroots movement amongst Dodgers fans where they're trying to do start a class action lawsuit against the Houston Astros.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, to basically figure out how they can get that title revoked.
Well, I mean that would be the one thing because you can't claim we are the World Series champions. That's just dumb.
All they can do is say that the Astros didn't win.
Right, and I think that they have a strong case there that you cheated.
Yes.
you literally cheated. You were caught cheating.
They were also talking about part of it would be like to get like refunds for like tickets and like purchases made basically during those games.
Right, because all that revenue from winning the World Series goes to the Astros.
So yeah, so we'll see if that happens, if that goes anywhere. I mean, class action lawsuits are it's coin flip at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? But yeah, interesting nonetheless. And yeah, man, what a story. I mean, we talked about the kind of the meat and potatoes of the story last week, but this week, kind of.
Well, this week the hammer came down.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing is fascinating.
Well, I don't feel I call it a hammer because, like I said, these things should be more severe.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you call it a hammer. I guess
it's a hammer.
Yeah, the more severe would be the guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the hammer came down from the MLB offices.
But yeah, interesting to see. All right, we need to move on. This is a long-ass show.
I told you.
Our second story in television is kind of some cleanup after last week's Golden Globe ceremony.
Yeah.
Just on the TV side, though, NBC, is making some choices about how they're going to go forward with the show. Even though we just had Ricky Gervais as the host, they've already announced that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler will be returning to be the hosts in 2021.
This is of note because there's no location, no date, no venue, no nominations.
But they're already getting ahead of, don't worry, we won't let that happen again. Nearly 6 years, of course, after they started hosting the show in 2015. Tina and Amy have provided Golden Globes viewers with some of the most memorable moments the show has ever seen, said Amy Thurlow, who is the president of Dick Clark Productions, who puts on the telecast for NBC.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yep. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, back. Already announced.
And you know what? Thank God. Because I didn't even bother with Ricky Gervais this year. So.
The ratings were low before that, but yes.
All right.
Family-friendly, safe.
Yeah, safe.
Tina Fey and Poehler.
I wouldn't call them family-friendly, but yes, safe.
It's NBC safe.
Yes. That is it for television news. We do have some real quick thoughts for you. Let's make them quick.
All right.
You watched at least two of these things. I watched at least two of these things. I tried watching the third thing.
I put three things down?
I added one because it wasn't on your list.
Oh, okay.
But yes, first up, tell me about Book 2, the continuation of Infinity Train.
So did you watch this?
I watched an episode of it. I watched it thinking it was the first one because it was the first one that YouTube TV had listed.
Uh-huh.
But it seemed like it was starting in the middle of it, and so I was like, this can't be the first episode. So
interesting.
I don't know if it was the first episode or not. So I watched one episode of this.
All right. They
were on a family tree.
They were on a family tree. That is the second episode.
Okay, so I missed the first episode.
Possibly? Maybe the first episode?
That cannot be the first episode. I don't know what was happening.
No, I think it was the first episode.
Really?
Yeah. Where it starts with MT running. Yes.
No, because they're on the tree already when it starts.
Oh, they're already on the tree?
Yeah.
All right, so that might be the second episode.
It might be a second. It felt like a second episode.
Okay.
Okay, but you watched the whole thing.
So I watched the whole thing.
So how does this compare to the first season? We really enjoyed the first season.
We really enjoyed the first season. It told a linear story, and it was a very wholesome ending. And I liked everything that it had to offer.
It seems like it's a little different tonally.
It's just definitely a little different tonally, because you can't necessarily bring back the main character.
No, you cannot.
They learned their lesson. They're off the train, and it'd be really weird to have them come back on the train.
And yet
they found a way to bring her back on the train.
Sort of, kind of.
The actor back on the train.
So it seems like one of the episodes in the last season, the Chrome car, seemed to mattered a lot.
Yes.
More than we thought it would.
The Chrome car is basically how they were able to bring Tulip, that's the voice of Tulip, back into Infinity Train.
But it seems like a different character.
Well, they established in that episode that she was a different character from what Tulip was.
Yes.
And throughout the whole book 2, she is definitely a different character from the Tulip we watched.
But she is paired with a new main character.
Yes, a new main character, a guy this time.
Yeah.
Jesse, who decides to name everything Dracula. Or Alan Dracula.
Yes, specifically.
Their dear companion.
Mm-hmm.
Deer. Alan Dracula.
It's a deer.
It's a deer. But it's a deer. It's a deer, Alan Dracula. But yeah, the whole book is another fun, interesting adventure. Not as heavy-handed as the book one was. It does go into why Jesse's on the train. It does go into what Mirror Tulip wants. Chrome Tulip, MT. They call her MT for Mirror Tulip.
Right.
So it goes through what she wants and what she's trying to get out of it. Basically, she wants off the train. But because she doesn't have a number, she has no way of getting off the train. And that's basically her arc of it. Whereas Jesse's arc is the same arc, which is a tulip, which is you're on the train, you gotta try and figure out how to get off the train.
Right.
They do come across some, not as many interesting characters as book one. But book two does bring back a lot of those old characters, established characters, and builds upon some of the lore that we kind of touched on in book one. Yeah. Like, how high do the numbers really go? Are the people who really don't want to get off the train, who don't understand what it is? Now that 1-1 is the conductor, what exactly is he trying to do?
Right.
What's his goal with all these passengers on the train?
Right.
And then also with Mirror Tulip and the police continuously being after her, and how she handles basically becoming from independent to building a friendship, to being with someone, to establishing a relationship.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I will probably try to catch up on this at some point.
Yeah. I think book one hit harder because it was new and it was fresh. Book two definitely goes into some areas, but whereas book one was a lot more about of what does each car bring, this was more of what does each character bring to the cars. And whereas Tulip's goal was to get to the front of the car, this is more of let's try and figure out more of the people on the car rather than what the train essentially is for. Because we already established that in book one.
Right.
Book two is more about the people now.
Okay, yeah, that's smart because like once you have the kind of the established like the basis, then you can kind of just play with characters.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it does. It definitely plays a lot with the characters, especially Alan Dracula, who is a favorite character.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Like I said, they did a bomb of 10 episodes, 2 episodes a night. And yeah, the book 2 closed, and I was happily surprised of how they kind of wrapped a lot of it up, because throughout I was like, there's no way they could do this. And yet, there it is, staring you in the face.
Okay, cool. That's great. Yeah, I'll catch up with that. While we're on the subject of animated shows, a new one premiered on Disney Channel last week that I checked out.
Okay, so tell me about Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
So, no, but...
No, that's right. I was watching that on Disney+.
No, but from a lot of the same people who brought you Star and Gravity Falls, so some previous Disney animated talent, brings you The Owl House, the new Disney animated show.
So is it Owl House?
So the Owl House.
In the middle of the street? Owl House.
So this one I had kind of been on my radar for a while. It's created by Dana Terrace, who was a storyboarder for Gravity Falls. Okay. This is kind of her created show, which makes it the third in Disney's history female-led animated film, animated series. Following
Darren Nefsey?
Following Star, and then before that, Pepper Ann, back in the 90s. But this only the pilot, I believe, has aired so far. I think there may be a second episode coming up this week. The setup is, it's basically a girl... kind of a fantasy-obsessed girl, like she's into fantasy novels and anime, and she basically is bored with her current life and is a kind of a rebellious kid.
Bored with reality.
Yeah, she's so involved in her fantasy world that her mother is getting concerned by it, and thus wants to send her to summer camp to basically get a reality check. Instead though of going to summer camp, she finds herself being literally transferred into a fantasy world, for real, where she ends up befriending a witch and her demon sidekick / dog creature. And kind of goes on a wacky adventures as she kind of learns how to be a witch, just like her new friend.
Okay.
And it's a kind of a mystical fantasy world where there's dragons and griffins and like monsters, and yeah, it's so far, like I said, it's just been the pilot, so not really, only barely scratched the surface of, I'm sure, the lore and kind of like the world building that the show will eventually do. But it's already laying a really interesting foundation for that kind of stuff. The writing is snappy and fun, just like kind of like in the vein of something like Star, or the Cartoon Network stuff that we compare it to. But yeah, it's very, very cool setup so far. I like the main character; she's fun, and the witch and the kind of the creature, which is like played by a pitched up Alex Hirsch, creator of Gravity Falls. And he's almost like if you asked him to do an Invader Zim kind of thing. It's very similar, and like kind of the same kind of Napoleon complex kind of character where he's this little guy that wants to basically take over the world kind of thing.
This premise sounds a little bit like Amphibia, where it's a little girl just falls into a random place.
So yeah, they're different enough though tonally where I feel like Amphibia seems like way more of a slice of life show, with the lore kind of taking like maybe as like a backseat. Mm-hmm. This seems like this is going to be lore first. Okay. This is where they're clearly like, no, instantly we're going to throw you into this world and make you wonder about it. Whereas Amphibia was like, no, we're going to really settle into these characters in this family dynamic. These are two very, very like different kind of shows.
Not like with Amphibia, she can't go back to her own world.
Yeah, Amphibia, she is prohibited. It seems like in Owl House it's suggested at the end of the pilot that the witch has the power to send the girl home at any time.
Okay.
It's just a matter of whether the girl wants to, and in this case, the setup is that she does not want to return home because her mom wants her to go to summer camp. Okay. And so the setup is like she wants to stay. She has an impetus to stay in this fantasy world because she enjoys fantasy worlds. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting that you pointed out that there are some similarities between the two series, but they seem like they're going in enough of a different direction, especially with the complete lack of like other human characters, whereas it's a very key thing in Amphibia that there are more than one human character. Okay. Like in that show. So like it's a different kind of thing. But yeah, I liked what I've seen so far, and I'm going to definitely continue watching the series as it continues.
Okay.
So yeah. And the last thing we can talk about, just wrapped up last night.
Yes, it did.
So, Jeopardy! We mentioned last week the Jeopardy! Greatest of All Time tournament started and ended within these last 7 days, and man, what a tournament!
I struggled. Normally I'm good with Jeopardy questions.
Yeah, they were hard.
These were hard. Oh my god.
They would have to be, because of course, when you have something that's literally called Greatest of All Time, you cannot give them softballs.
Yes, but I did notice one of the games, it was all ABC shows.
Yeah, that was funny.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of Disney plugs, I felt like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was...
Or Sony plugs.
It was on primetime ABC, as opposed to being syndicated. Right. So, you know what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun tournament to watch, albeit maybe a little bit predictable. The people, I won't spoil it because it's literally only been 24 hours, but...
the winner?
You have an idea, probably, who won.
Yes.
But yeah, it seemed like it was pretty even, though, at least between two of the competitors throughout. So, it was impressive to watch them kind of go at it. And, it was a fun, well put together tournament.
I think it was a good kind of primetime slot for Alex Trebek.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like
to get people... Normally, because, Jeopardy, for me, comes in waves.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be all on it, and then I'll get off of the train, and they'll get right back on the train, I'll get off the train, depending on how my schedule and my life work out.
But this was a cool one, because it was, a moment where, everybody was on the train at once. Where, it was everybody was talking about it at the same time. It was
prime time, it was 8 o'clock, everyone was home, it was... set up to be an event, and they hyped it up to be an event, and it got the ratings of a big event.
Yes.
It got better ratings than the, World Series and the NBA Finals?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was number 3 in the last 6 months or something, total viewers.
Right.
And I'm that's crazy. But it goes to show you that these networks that keep renewing these game shows are doing it for a reason, because people are watching them.
Mm-hmm.
People are watching primetime game shows for probably more than they have in decades. And yeah, like stunts like this still work, and I think ABC proved it.
Yeah. I mean, you had 3 of the biggest Jeopardy names coming out of it.
Yeah.
And I think also because of, I don't want to necessarily point to this, but because of the news of Alex Trebek and his cancer.
I'm sure it all
kind of played to a factor to it. Like,
for sure.
Oh, like, you're going to watch this because Alex Trebek is a legend.
Yeah. But the one thing I will stress, though, and the advantage that it has over literally every game show is because, let's be real, Jeopardy is the best game show.
It is.
Like, it's the only one that's good. Like, other game shows are fine.
It is.
Jeopardy
is
so
simple
much better.
Question and answer. Yeah. Everything else has to have a gimmick because otherwise you're basically Jeopardy.
But Jeopardy figured it out. Like, they were able to figure out, like, how the quiz show could work. Like, and
forever.
It's now the quintessential quiz show because it, like, basically proved, yeah, you're right. It proved that everything else has to have a gimmick because otherwise you're just doing Jeopardy. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah, that was fun. And it was a good watch.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely a good watch. And definitely I think will bring people to watch Jeopardy on a regular basis. Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed, but they were also hyping up the online quiz for people to sign up.
Yes, of course.
Of course they were.
All right.
Which, by the way, coming up at the end of the month, end of January, is when the online quiz. I will definitely be taking it, as I always do.
Always do.
And try and get on the show.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's it for television thoughts, unless you have something else you want to talk about before we move into cancellations and renewals.
Nothing new that I watched.
Okay.
The Circle ends tonight.
Yes.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yes.
I'm going to go home and probably watch it.
I already know who won. It was texted to me earlier.
Okay, I do not know who won. But TV is returning. The Good Place is back.
Good Place is
with
back.
New episode.
Very strong premiere episode.
Yes.
I mean mid-season.
Mid-season premiere episode.
Yeah.
Yes. This Is Us also back. 911 will be coming back soon as well. TV will get back to the swing of things between now and basically after the Grammys, after the Super Bowl.
Okay. We will see.
Yep.
All right, cancellations and renewals.
All right. What am I no longer watching?
Well, I don't know what you're no longer watching, but here's some shows that have been renewed because we got a lot of those this week. FX has renewed American Horror Story for 3 more seasons.
Can they do 3 more seasons?
I guess so. Which moves up...
I thought they did it with Apocalypse, right?
Well, no.
1984?
Apparently not. Because...
Covenant?
Leads up...
Roanoke?
That leads up to a grand total, by the time all this is over, 13 total seasons.
Okay, you got to end it at 13, right?
Yeah.
The 13 is the unlucky number?
That would make some sense, but We'll see. New Amsterdam on NBC will also be getting a 3-season order, moving up to the needle to 5 total seasons.
So that will become a regular show now. No need to worry.
They're betting the farm on it.
Yep.
NBC is also renewed Making It for a 3rd season.
Yay! Competition. That thing will get renewed on a yearly basis probably because it's cheap to make.
And Showtime has announced that their perennial favorite, Shameless, well, its last season will be its 11th.
Oh, the upcoming 11th,
yeah, the upcoming 11th season will be its final.
Yep.
So what's his name?
William H. Macy.
Yeah, William H. Macy will finally have to find something else to do.
Well, his wife definitely found something else to do.
Yep. Showtime also will be bringing back the L Word reboot Generation Q back for a 2nd season.
Yep.
Showtime also, third to Showtime, the Showtime hat trick this week. Work in Progress will be getting a 2nd season. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what either of those are.
It's a work in progress. Netflix, after I guess the recent obsession that people have had over it, is bringing back You.
Me?
You for a 3rd season. No, not Us.
Not Us?
The Jordan Peele movie.
Oh.
No, the Netflix series You.
Yes. People have been talking about You, but I read the description, and I'm like, I hate this without watching it. Why do I want to watch this?
It's funny because I feel like I've heard so many people are watching You, but when I actually hear somebody real, like I know in person, they bounced off of it. Like, no one that I know in person watches You.
People are telling me, I just finished watching the season of You. I don't know how to feel now. I was like, okay, but should I watch it?
Who knows? It's probably no. That's what I'm going to say.
I don't know. I feel like this is going to fall in the same column as 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And, like, it's going to come, it's going to go, and then be tossed aside.
Comedy Central, before it even debuts, has renewed Nora from Queens, the new Awkwafina show.
You mean Golden Globe winner Awkwafina got a show renewed?
Awkwafina. I like how you have it credited here as Awkwafina is Nora from Queens.
I think
because that's the way they've been billing it in the ads.
Yes.
Too. And I hate that. Like, I'm like, no, just call it Nora from Queens.
Well, it depends on what the show actually is titled because the show is yet to premiere.
But yeah, before its premiere, it's being renewed already, so it will get 2 seasons.
Also, that's the way it was listed in the listicle.
I just hate it. It's like they need to just... That show looks good, actually.
Yes.
All the ads I've seen for it, it looks like a good spiritual successor to Broad City.
This might be the year of Awkwafina.
I think she has a chance of really blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Fox has axed a couple of their new shows after their first seasons. Almost Family.
Oh, I'm so glad this thing got axed.
Done. And Flirty Dancing.
So, before it got started, it's already being axed.
Yeah, so
these things are not officially canceled, but they've been taken off the schedule, and the remaining shows will be dispersed on January 27th and then February 15th, I think.
So, yeah, vote of no confidence for those 14th?
What's the Friday? Valentine's 14th? Yeah, Valentine's Day. Because no one watches TV on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So they're being dispersed, the remaining episodes, on those 2 days.
You know why? Because everybody's going to be seeing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, they are.
All right, and then lastly, we have one death this week, but it's a rough one. Buck Henry, age 89, who was a writer, known, of course, mostly, in my opinion, mostly for the television series Get Smart.
He was the co-creator of Get Smart.
But also co-wrote the movie The Graduate.
Mm-hmm.
But also... fun, reference that somebody who's maybe around our age will be more likely to recognize. He was also Liz Lemon's dad in 30 Rock.
Huh.
That's Buck Henry.
That is Buck Henry.
So he's the one who delivered the classic something about it's not a lemon party if there ain't old Dick. His name was Dick.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, that exists. So
also in deaths, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson
is still alive.
Father,
has
died. Yes, Rocky Johnson, I believe, was his dad's name.
Oh.
I saw that today in my feed, Twitter feed, that he had died. But yeah, he was a former wrestler in his heyday, and that's what got his son Dwayne into it. Also, he named his son Dwayne. Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne. All right. That's all we have for deaths, I believe.
Yeah, that's it. So, I hand this over to you, and we skip over to the music section.
Oh, boy, have we been lagging this week.
Yeah, it's a long show. Long-ass show.
I
hope you're not hungry.
I tried to warn you it was going to be a long-ass show. I should have warned myself.
You should have eaten that chicken.
Oh, it did. It had my name on it.
Okay, what else do we got?
Speaking of having your names on Music and the Billboard Hot 100, your singles chart.
What's the hottest singles in your area this week?
The hottest single in your area is The Box by Roddy Ricch.
Yeah, after hanging out somewhere in the middle of the top 5 last week, it is now number 1.
Number 2 is Yummy by Justin Bieber.
Which sucks, by the way. I heard that song.
You heard it?
It sucks.
Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me not to listen to it.
Don't bother.
Like I was already planning on not listening to it.
Well, did you really think a song named Yummy would have a good chorus?
No.
Well, your instinct was correct.
I mean, it'd just be yummy over and over again.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah?
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
Okay, not missing anything then.
You already know what this is.
I know what the song is then. Number 3 is Circles by Post Malone, because of course it is. Number 4 is Memories by Maroon 5, because of course it is.
Yep.
And
which I swear, every time I hear it, I think of like a graduation.
It is.
Like
memories, memories, memories.
Yeah, every time I hear it, I feel like a bunch of 13-year-olds are being made to walk to this in June.
And number 5, 10,000 Hours By Dan and Shay.
Yes. And...
I'm not going to say Justin Bieber.
And Justin Bieber.
I'm not going to say his name.
He's got a credit in that song.
I'm not going to say...
No, it's not a featuring credit. I wrote exactly what Billboard had.
I know. It's
ampersand.
Yes, because it's Dan and Shay and Justin.
It's Dan plus Shay and Justin Bieber.
Yes. All right. Let's go to the Billboard 200.
Let's
Your
go.
albums chart.
Sure.
Where Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial.
Yep.
Is your number one album.
Back at number one.
By Roddy Ricch. Number 2, Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone.
Yep.
Number 3, Fine Line by Harry Styles.
Yep.
Number 4, Jack Boys.
Yep.
By Jack Boys.
Yep.
And number 5, Frozen 2 by various artists.
Yep. Kind of boring week.
Yep.
Nothing new.
I think this was the same thing as last week.
Expect Selena Gomez to be your number one next week.
Well, we'll talk about Selena Gomez in a bit here.
We will.
But in case Selena Gomez doesn't tickle your fancy, we have new releases. We have X, The Godless Void, and Other Stories.
Sounds fun.
By ... And You Will Know Us by The Trait of Dead. Trait.
Did I mistype that?
Yeah. Trail of Dead.
Trail of Dead.
By Trail of Dead.
Are you familiar with Trail of Dead?
No.
Okay, well, that's them.
I might know. I might get to know them because You Will Know Us. Eventually, maybe.
You will know them by The Trail of Dead.
Yes.
They've been around for a while, so yeah, this is another album.
Well, I don't know them.
Okay.
Well, now I know of them.
And you know of them.
We also have There Is No Year by Algiers.
Okay.
I hate this title already.
Okay.
2020 Vision by Anti-Flag.
See what they did there?
I hate it already. We also have Everything Else Has Gone Wrong by Bombay Bicycle Club.
Uh-huh.
We also have Manic by Halsey. Deleter by Holy Fuck.
Yeah, that's the name of the band.
Nightfall by Little Big Town.
Yep.
Circles, not by Post Malone.
Not the Post Malone Circles.
But Circles by Mac Miller.
Yes, the posthumous Mac Miller record.
Also, You Are Fun.
I am.
Actually, I'm going to call it Fun.
Yeah.
By Of Montreal.
Uh-huh.
And Marigold by Pine Grove.
Yeah, so...
There's a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, kind of the biggest release this week is probably the Halsey record.
If you're not into country, in that case, it is the Little Big Town record.
Little Big Town record, second place. But yes, but probably the biggest question mark here is Halsey good enough to warrant like a hit record, or is she just a singles artist?
Well,
we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. But don't be surprised if Little Big Town actually charts.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks.
Okay. I'm still reeling after that Lady Antebellum Little Big Town collab song that sounded like 8 people trying to sing over each other. I'm still
it might be on this album.
It's still happening right now. I mean, like for somewhere, if you listen hard enough, you can hear them all.
If you can listen hard enough, they are still singing over each other.
Still singing over each other.
Try to get that last note in.
Whose idea was that? Who thought that was a good idea?
I think it was someone saying, "Wait, are they not the same band?" No.
Like, have you ever seen them in the same room? And then somebody was like, I dare you to put them in the same room. And then it happened. Anyways. Sorry.
Little Big Town, Lady Antebellum. They're the same. They're not the same.
They're not the same.
Alright. Moving on to actual music news then.
Yes. Actual music news.
Alright. So, first up, the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Or the Rock and Roll.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes. Well, the 2020 inductees have been announced.
We have inductees.
And they include Depeche Mode, the Doobie Brothers, Whitney Houston, 9 Inch Nails, the Notorious B.I.G., and T-Rex.
Yep.
All have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Aren't these the ones I totally called?
I believe you called
like almost
6
all
of these. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, you did. Receiving the Ahmet Erdogan Award, which is essentially for non-performing professionals, are longtime Bruce Springsteen manager and former music critic critic John Landau, and veteran Eagles manager and multifaceted executive Irving Azoff. The 35th annual ceremony will be broadcast live for the first time this year on May 2nd on HBO.
Yeah. In previous years, it had always been shown days later.
Yeah, it was always like the weekend it was.
It was recorded and then shown later. But this time it'll be live.
Nice. It'll be live from the Public Auditorium in Cleveland, Ohio.
I believe the Heart of Rock and Roll is in Cleveland. So
yes, it is. Tickets are on sale February 27th. Performances and special guests will be announced later. Basically, who will be inducting each act.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see Whitney Houston.
Well, obviously, she will not be there.
No, but who will be accepting it on her behalf?
She does have a
estate.
Estate, yes. So somebody will represent her.
Yes. I wonder if all of Nine Inch Nails will be there.
I 100% doubt it. Put my money down on that. Although, it was interesting because Trent Reznor has basically spent the whole week being basically burying old comments that he made about he thought how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame sucked.
Yes.
It didn't matter. Now he's like, oh, no, I'm honored.
Oh, thank you. Now that I'm officially in, I will no longer say bad things about you.
Exactly.
Wasn't this their first year, though? Second year?
I believe, yes. I believe this was Nine Inch Nails' maybe second year of eligibility.
Right.
The notable people who did not make it, there are a few. I believe that Dave Matthews Band, even though there was a huge internet support.
No, thank you.
Dave Matthews Band did not make the cut.
No, thank you.
Dave Matthews and his band.
Any other?
Wait another year.
That might be a posthumous one.
No. What do you know that we don't know about Dave Matthews?
That he will not get in as long as he is alive.
Wow. Harsh words.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
No, that's
Lizzo.
All right, what else happened in music this week?
Other music news. Apple TV.
Well, I mean, it's not really an Apple TV story. It just happens to happen on Apple TV.
Well, I didn't want to exactly search for a Beastie Boys logo, so I decided to go with Apple TV because
ain't nothing wrong with Beastie Boys.
Apple TV Plus has nabbed rights to Beastie Boys Story.
Yes.
A documentary about the legendary rap trio produced by Spike Jonze.
Yeah.
The movie features Beastie Boys' Adam Horovitz and Mike Diamond discussing the group's 40-year friendship and rise to fame as hip-hop exploded in the late 1980s. The movie billed as a live, quotes in quotes, live documentary was shot at Brooklyn's King's Theater. The pair also paid tribute to founding member Adam Yauch, a.k.a. MCA, who died of cancer at age 47 in 2012.
Yes. I remember because I was in a bar when I found out, and we ended up commiserating with a bunch of other people at that bar.
No. Beastie Boys Story is set to debut in IMAX theaters on April 3rd and will be available via Apple TV Plus April 24th. Appy TV.
I will watch this. This sounds cool. And I've been meaning to read that book. This is kind of related to, they put out a book called The Beastie Boys Book last year, which was also kind of like a self-told story of their rise. And I hear it's a really, really entertaining kind of book. This will be like a visual version of the same story. But,
interesting.
Yeah, I love the Beastie Boys. I'm really their story is fascinating. So it'd be really cool to watch.
Yeah, I'm not high on their music, but their story.
Oh man, when's the last time you listened to Paul's Boutique?
Never.
Oh, you should give that a try. Trust me, if you listen to any Beastie Boys...
not found.
If you listen to any Beastie Boys record... This is like me trying to get you to listen to early R.E.M. I swear, this is going to be a recurring segment on the Media Book Podcast. Me trying to get you to listen to old music.
My whole of music.
But if you're going to listen to any Beastie Boys record, I recommend listening to Paul's Boutique. The idea of samples were new around 1988. Mm-hmm. So it was a revolutionary record at the time.
Okay.
And it's so based on samples of music from the era. So
are they going to be yelling at me?
Yes, kind of. But not necessarily bad. Like, not like an angry yelling. It's a fun yell. I'll
determine what is a fun yell.
It's a fun record. It's really cool, and it still sounds cool today.
All right. Well, speaking of things that sound cool today,
okay,
let's get right into our thoughts.
Yeah, let's.
Let's hear anything else to say about the BC Boys.
No, that's it. That's a really actually a pretty apt segue because we listened to the same thing this week.
Surprisingly, I actually tried to find the Kesha record.
Yeah, to listen to. Did not come out. I don't know where Metacritic was getting its information, but it was not out last week.
Maybe it got delayed.
Yeah, but what was out and what we listened to, I want to hear your thoughts about it first before I talk about what I thought about it. But yes, Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez and
she's
her,
rare, from what I understand.
Oh, that song! Is she rare? Is she special? Is she a legendary? Is she a shiny?
Is she? I mean, is it harder to find a Selena Gomez than it is to find a Taylor Swift? I would argue yes.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, I think she is rare.
It is rare.
There's less of a chance to catch her. There's a lower catch percentage. Sorry. Anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Selena Gomez is rare.
Yes. The title. Yes, and the title
of the album and the first track.
The first track is also called Rare. And, it just made me wonder, like, did we officially run out of ways to say you're one in a million, you're premium, you're special?
All of the above. Rare.
You're rare?
I think rare is a good word. I don't think it's...
It's not used very often.
It's underused. I think it's smart.
I don't think it's underused. I just think it's not used very often.
Well, enough about the semantics of the word rare.
Okay.
What did you think about rare?
So I had listened... when I didn't have my Spotify hooked up to my car, I listened to the radio a lot.
Okay.
And they played a lot of that Selena Gomez song, To Love, Love. I need to lose you to love me.
That's the name of that
song.
Love.
Yes.
When I first heard that song, I was kind of down on it. I was like, it's kind of boring. I don't really get it. Every subsequent time I've heard it, it's been growing on me.
Same. I thought when I first heard it, wow, this is a slow song. What is this doing?
It really grew on me, though.
And then the more they play it, I was like, okay,
now I'm like, I get it now.
I get it. It's fine. I like it. But if you liked that song, this is not the album you think it is.
It's not like that song, yes.
The whole album,
it's an outlier.
It is. It definitely is an outlier. Which makes me wonder why that was the single put out if it doesn't necessarily reflect what the album is.
I have maybe an idea, but I'll get to that when I say my piece. But what did you think about the rest of it?
This album sounded like it should be in a club. I wanted to hear the club remix of this album. I think the club remix would be better than what this album gives me. That being said, it is a lot of heavy beats. It is a lot of sounding very formulaic in its poppiness. I think the lyrics are great. That's about all I can give it. The lyrics are great, but it just sounds like a very produced album of the past 3 years. It does take a lot from Lana Del Rey, though. I will say that. It definitely takes a lot from her.
Okay.
But not my kind of jam.
Didn't enjoy it?
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it. It's not my kind of jam.
Okay.
You seem to be on the other hand.
I really liked it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this record. I think Selena Gomez has a really good ear for an interesting take on pop music. I think that the reason possibly that she did choose Lose You to Love Me as the single is because the rest of it doesn't necessarily seem super radio ready. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. Like, I think that there's a real skill that she's employing with the production of these songs that's not really that ready for radio play. And it makes it for really interesting sounding album, but I don't know if they're ready to be singles. Because I don't think that's what she's going for. It's an interesting contrast from the Camila Cabello record I talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're interesting to compare because Camila Cabello is very obviously going for the singles. She is very obviously trying to continue the success she already had, but the results of that were kind of middling. Whereas Selena, I think she has a very clear grasp on what she wants her sound to be. Like, like her biggest singles, like Can't Keep My Hands to Myself. Like, there's a very specific kind of, like, mix that she has between, like pop construction and kind of, like, a world beat kind of thing going on. And a lot of that is in this record. And, like, yeah, I thought there was a lot of really cool production techniques. I thought it was really cool. I agree, like, a lot of the lyrics were really, really creative. Definitely has that advantage over someone like Camilla. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I don't know necessarily if there needs to be a club remix. Because I thought a lot of it
definitely sounded like a lot of it had the heavy bass going for it that sounded like, okay, this is going to be in a club somewhere.
Yeah, I think that goes to show that she's collaborating with people who are a little bit more underground than I think that than you would expect. And yeah, I think there is a lot of influence. I think there's a little bit of a Taylor Swift influence here. Yeah. I think she's definitely learning from her friends, and you can like collaborating with her friends, and you can feel a little bit of that. Also, you can feel a little post Billie Eilish energy here.
Yes,
like
you can.
We live in a very post Billie Eilish world now, and the pop music that comes out of the industry is going to reflect that.
I mean, when Billie Eilish's album and song were number 2 on both the Hot 100 and 200.
Yeah.
Literally for weeks, trailing only one, either Post Malone's album or
Lil
Nas X song.
Yeah.
So it was her at number 2.
So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I could understand where you're coming from though, because if you're expecting something huge and mainstream, this is not that.
Well, I wasn't expecting something huge or mainstream. I was expecting something kind of like the single.
And then
it threw a bunch of like hard beats in my face, and I was like,
I think that's why she went with it, because I think that was a calculated thing where she knew that right now ballads are hot. Think about it. 2019 was a year of a lot of big, like slower kind of songs.
Yeah.
The more I was reading kind of a piece about this record on one of the music blogs I follow, and they were talking about how like Selena Gomez was one of the artists kind of in the 2010s that were kind of like moving like the pop sound away from the EDM inspired bombast of the early 2010s, like something like a Kesha or like a Lady Gaga were doing. Like part of the decade as it went on was let's move away from the bombast and let's move into kind of more like these kind of chiller beats. And I think that's something she excels at.
I can definitely see that going through, but again, not my specific cup of tea.
All right. Well, there you go. We're a house divided on Selena.
All right. So, are you anything for Selena? No.
What? That's all I got.
I'm blown up here.
So.
All right. Okay, so that's
it for music thoughts.
That's it for music thoughts then. Let's move into video games. Kind of start trickling into the wrap up here.
Yes, indeed. Let's do it.
All right.
Last segment. Video games.
We start video games with new releases.
We actually have some.
For the
first time in 3 weeks, we have games.
We have
games.
Tokyo Mirage Session.
Yes.
#FE. Encore for the Switch.
Yes, this is a remaster of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which was a Wii U game.
Okay. Does FE mean Final Edition?
No, it means Fire Emblem, because this is a crossover of the Atlus's Shin Megami Tensei series and Fire Emblem.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what this is.
With a name like Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
it does not say that at all.
I would have guessed this was a car drifting game.
You're not always drifting when you're in Tokyo, okay?
I don't know.
You're not required to drift.
But you have Tokyo. Also, I thought Fire Emblem was like ye old timey.
It is. So the Fire Emblem characters come into the Shin Megami Tensei world through a portal.
Yeah, because Shin Megami is very modern.
Like, it sounds like a ridiculous like.
Is this the Token anime crossover event?
This is a anime crossover event, but a video game. Yes.
Okay.
That's what this is.
All right. So this is the Capcom versus Marvel Infinity Stone crossover event.
Okay. What else is out this week?
We also have Dragon Ball Z: Kakarot.
Yes.
for the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Yeah, it seems like an open world anime game. You know what this is?
It's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball Z.
It's a Dragon Ball Z game.
Yep. It's a Kakarot.
What is a Kakarot?
Yeah, what's a Kakarot?
You know what a Kakarot is?
Sounds like a cockroach.
No. Kakarot is Japanese for carrot.
Okay.
It's a play on carrot.
Alright.
Because that's what Goku is.
Is everything named after food in Dragon Ball?
Yes.
There's like a carrot and there's like Vegeta.
Yes. Vegetable. Yes. Vegeta is named... So, Vegeta. And then his brother is named Tarble.
What's
Vegetarball.
Oh my god. It's stupid.
And then there's Piccolo and Krillin. And
You're right.
Yamcha.
Yeah, they're all food.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Master Roshi.
Is he food?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all foods.
It's all food.
Yes. It's until you get to, like, he runs out of food and starts taking things out after spices.
Oh, well, I mean, that's food adjacent.
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so those are your new releases this week.
Yeah, those are your 2 new releases this week.
Yep, that's it.
So, remember how last week we talked about Pokemon and PlayStation?
Yeah.
Well, this week we're talking about
Pokemon
PlayStation and Pokemon!
Different stories, though,
this
week. Well, the Pokemon one is more like...
the follow-up.
Yeah, follow-up.
Well, Sony have announced their PlayStation E3 2020 plans.
Yeah, there are none.
And just like last year, they won't be having a presence at the event.
Yup.
In a statement to Games Industry
.biz.
Yep. Sony said that after careful consideration, aka how much money did we save, they, quote, do not feel the vision of E3 2020 is the right venue for what we are focused on this year. We will build upon our global event strategy in 2020 by participating in hundreds of consumer events across the globe. Our focus is to make sure fans feel part of the PlayStation family and have access to play their favorite content. We have a fantastic lineup of titles coming to PlayStation 4, and with the upcoming launch of PlayStation 5, we are truly looking forward to a year of celebration with our fans, said an unnamed Sony Interactive executive spokesperson.
So, last year, when we talked about this, it was a big deal, but there was also kind of the understanding, though, well, this isn't a launch year. Like, this is kind of a middle year. They don't have a whole lot of games to show, so it would make some sense for them not to be here, but they'll definitely be back next year. That's what everyone said.
Because they have a console, and this is where you go to do a big console reveal.
So, now it's become very apparent that Sony is not bailing because they don't have enough to show. They are literally bailing because E3 is not the show they want it to be anymore. It has gone so down the PAX rabbit hole of public attendance and insanity, and that Sony's like, we can't adequately do the thing that we used to be able to do here anymore.
Well, you know why it went down that route, right?
Well, the ESA loves money. Is probably the main reason.
Yes, it's a business, and they can get a lot more income coming from
the fans.
The fans,
right.
and overcrowding each festival hall.
Yeah.
And lines just to make a buck.
So Sony isn't super clear about.
Also, there's got to be a lot of security for new stuff.
Oh yeah.
Also, since
take away a PS5.
Not only that, but I'm gonna put a little conspiracy tinfoil hat out there that they're gonna wait for Microsoft to announce their specs, and then come out a week later and say, "This is what we can do."
Yeah. Who knows exactly what their approach is?
And try and do the one-up.
But word on the street, though, says that Sony's actually aiming to beat Microsoft to the punch.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Scuttlebutt is saying that as early as next month, we could see a big fan-focused streaming PlayStation event happen that Sony puts on themselves in lieu of a big E3 expo. So this would be the time where they would show the box, show some launch games, and go crazy with it. So that way they have the long tail in front of Microsoft, so Microsoft's the one following.
I'm trying to think if they did an event last February for like the PSVR.
So they did not do anything last year. They skipped last year.
Was it the
year
year
before?
before?
The year before. You're thinking the PlayStation Experience stuff that they used to do. Mm-hmm. They skipped last year on that, but chances are this year that should return.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I think this is smart. I honestly think that the thing that E3 used to be, where you could make a big splash with the big new console, is not what this E3 is. And even Microsoft knows it. Yes, they plan on having a presence at this show. They have the name on the theater, for crying out loud. They can't not be there. But they were smart to do the big box reveal before. They knew that that's not the venue to do that kind of thing anymore. E3 is a different show.
Well, I think E3 is a show if you have the gimmick rather than just the hardware. Because, like, when the Switch came out, they had tons of consoles out there for everyone to try on the Switch. Yeah. Same thing with, like, the 3DS and the Wii. It's, like, the thing. But with Sony and Microsoft, they're hardware boxes, essentially. And it's not flashy, it's not showy, it's all the numbers.
More about the services, and more about the
and you can't really show off tech. Services
right.
to individual patrons as they pass by.
It's just, we live in a world where the things that they do best can be now shown more easily on a screen.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise just considering the context, since they've literally premiered every single PlayStation at E3.
Yeah.
Even the original PlayStation, which was at the first E3 in '95.
Yep.
And so to not be there is kind of nuts. But besides that, the actual reasons, when you start logicking it out, makes total sense.
No, yeah, but it being the 25th year of the PlayStation reveal, you thought, No. Or not the PlayStation reveal, but the PlayStation...
Yeah, the PlayStation's launch in America will be 25 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Right. All right.
Second story.
Second story is... Pokemon?
Yes.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Well, it's funny you say that, because if you were one of the hundreds, or rather dozens, of rabid fans who complained about not being able to catch them all, well, guess what? Pokemon heard.
Well, sort of.
A load more Pokemon are being added to Pokemon Sword and Shield over the next 12 months. As part of the new Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass.
Yes.
But don't fret, yo. They're not all new Pokemon, as more familiar faces are getting added too. Across the 2 new locations being added to the 5 Galarian regions, to the Galarian region of Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Trainers will meet a plethora of new and more familiar critters to add to your Pokemon Sword and Shield Pokedex. Free updates will be released for Pokemon Sword and Shield at the same time each of the expansion launches, allowing players who haven't purchased the pass to receive the Pokemon that will be added through means such as trading. You'll also be able to bring past Pokemon into your game using Pokemon Home, of course, which is now scheduled to launch in February of 2020. Although you'll only be able to import Pokemon that appear in the Isle of Armor or the Crown Tundra expansions. The 2 expansions will launch in June of 2020 and autumn of 2020 respectively, but you can purchase the expansion pass right now for some exclusive bonuses.
So yeah, the one thing the story doesn't say is the expansion pass is $29.99.
It is $30 for both islands.
You do get both when they're released.
Yes.
So
that brings the total price for the game to $90.
Well, yes, but no one ever thinks about games like that.
Yes.
When you start saying Call of Duty 4 cost $100 because I paid for all these map packs. Nobody does that.
Right, I know. No one looks at Fortnite and says, the game cost $500. That's how much I spent.
All this money on it. So yeah, as the story just said, it's not required to actually purchase these to get all the new and returning Pokemon. And you will be able to trade into them to receive them, and you'll be able to import them once Pokemon Home launches next month.
Yes.
But The actual expansions are kind of interesting sounding, like beyond just the new Pokemon. The story doesn't really go into this, but they're kind of like new wild areas. They'll be like expansive, kind of exploration-based kind of areas. There will be some minor story content, from what I understand.
Okay.
They didn't make the huge deal out of it, but they basically mentioned that there will be some characters that you'll encounter.
I feel like it needs to have some type of story to get people, because otherwise once you beat the game, you're just going there to fill out the Pokedex and catch Pokemon?
Be some sort of hook, but it seemed like they really went heavy on the idea that these are extensions of the wild area setup. So it will be in the same kind of free camera view. It will have dens for max raids, and that will be the main driving force. Will be look at all the Pokemon you can get now.
Right. I mean, they're adding 200 Pokemon.
Yeah. And they can do that something with a delivery mechanism like the wild area where they can cycle them in and out.
Right.
Like they have been doing already.
Right, because the wild areas right now, they cycle them out via, weather cycles.
Right, exactly.
And little smaller areas.
So, yeah. It's smart. I think that this was a smart kind of approach to kind of quell the fan angst about the lack of all their favorites, but also smart because it's finally modernizing. Like, it feels like a modern choice for a series that a lot of people complain is stagnant. Mm-hmm. It's before they would have announced and what we expected them to do was announce a new game, basically, that would have done this. And instead of doing a full $60 product that you would have to buy to get all this bonus stuff, they're just giving it to you for $30. They're just being like, hey, no, we heard you. You play the existing game you already own and get all this extra content in it.
Right. Well, this is also something that is able to do with updated hardware, with this new hardware, like it being connected to the internet.
Yeah. They know that, unlike the 3DS, the vast majority of the users that play this game on Switch are most of the time connected to a Wi-Fi service. It is not an explicit, required handheld, so they can make some sort of bet, that most of the user base is connected.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I might not pick it up because I want more information. I want to know if it's worth it story-wise.
And we're still pretty far out from even the first one.
Right. I mean, I want to know what happens because I haven't beat the game yet. Yeah. I want to know how much I'm going to come back to it after I beat the game. I think that's a big thing, too.
Honestly, I haven't come back to it a lot after I beat the game. I did a little bit of Battle Tower stuff, but really that's the one thing. So,
Right, and that's what I'm thinking is because I have other games to play on the Switch as well.
So I'd say finish it. I do think you should still finish it. Yeah. But then take a break until the stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to finish it.
Until we know more about the stuff for sure.
Because, I need to finish it before we can poke about
it. Yes. So I think that I think these are cool ideas, and it's a very modern take on expanding Pokemon content. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm down. I'm down for more Sword and Shield.
All right. Do you have any thoughts then?
Video game games. I've just been playing more Call of Duty. I don't think I've played anything else.
I've been playing more Pokemon. I've been abusing Pokejobs whenever I can. Yep. That is literally how I've been leveling up all my Pokemon, and then put them into my party so they can gain one level and evolve, and then put them right back in the box. Fun. It is fun. I mean, but Pokemon hate me, but it's fun.
Should name Pokemon He Hate Me.
He hate me? Probably. I mean, I'm still trying to get a Surf Fetch, but trying to just get a critical hit is freaking impossible.
Do you think He Hate Me has ever played a Pokemon game?
Probably.
At least one.
At least one.
What do you think He Hate Me is doing right now?
I don't know. I'll tell you when I go to McDonald's.
Anyway, God.
Low joke. Anyways, I'll plug away. We're done here.
XFL coming back this fall.
Yes, it is actually.
I know.
I'm probably doing a fantasy football for XFL.
You know what? I would do a fantasy football draft for the XFL.
You want to be a part of it?
That would be something stupid that I would enjoy doing.
It is something stupid because no one knows how these players are going to do. Exactly. You have zero data on everyone.
That's why I would do it.
All right. I'll pass the message along that you're interested in doing an XFL fantasy football
just such
draft.
A stupid idea. I love it. Okay.
The first fantasy is, will they last all season?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Will they play more than 2 games? All right. That's it for the Media Book Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We will be back live next week for another Wednesday edition of our live show. If you want to watch us live, go to youtube.com, search Media Book Podcast, find the page, like, subscribe, click the bell, get notifications when we go live. That's our song. If you want to hear just the audio version of our podcast, we have that for you as well. If you go to Media Book Podcast on any of your podcast services, such as Apple Podcasts. You can also find us streaming video games every once in a while on twitch.tv/MediaBoat. You can find us on social media. Twitter, our handle is @MediaBoatCast. Facebook, search Media Book Podcast, find our page, comment there as well. You can also find us on, what else am I missing? Oh, Patreon, the important one. If you want to donate to us and help us make this show better and get special things in return, consider becoming a patron of the show. But don't worry, as little as $1 a month is all we ask. Even that small amount, a fraction of a coffee every month, can help us make even better shows. So please, patreon.com/MediaBoat. Consider going there and donating. And that'll be it.
I think that'll be it.
Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week for another episode. But for now, have a good week, y'all.
We'll have more news for you. I may actually get around to watching some Marriage Story eventually. It's a forever watch list, apparently.
I might at some point.
We will have final thoughts on The Circle next week.
I guess so. If we must.
Oh, we must.
All right, have a good 3-day weekend, since most of you out there will have 3-day weekend this weekend. I do not.
I don't.
So bye!
Some do. Okay, bye.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Okay.
Most of the world has a holiday
Stop
on
this.
Monday.